Hi guys, it's me and Kismet. So we finally arrived at the point of the never-ending story, Decoded. So I watched it again last night just to brush up on the story again. Oh, nice big bird flew over. I think it was a pterodactyl, a miniature one. Anyway, I know I've been promising to do this video for quite a long time, and I just haven't been in the sort of mood to do it, really, to do it justice, because that film, to me anyway, is exceedingly meaningful, and especially seeing as what sort of scenario is playing out right now. So I've made notes because, as you guys know, I have a memory like a sieve. So let's start. So it all starts with the hero of the quest, the kid, and of course he's very traumatized. His mother has died and he's looked after by his father, who isn't really aware of his needs, who lacks empathy. So he's on his own, he's bullied, he doesn't have any friends, and he's in a lot of pain, and he's lost, which is very symbolic for where we find ourselves as well. The divine feminine seems to have vacated the premises, and we're left with what a lot of people refer to as the inner critic, but actually it's far worse than that. It's the hell contagion, where there is self-hate and self-attack, which is the dysfunctional divine masculine, you see. And our inner child is completely lost and yearns for mother. You know, we are just like that little boy. You know, we live in a big city, which is basically the circuit board world that we exist in, the plane that we exist on, rather, you know. And we too feel completely and utterly abandoned. The programming tells us we're worthless, we're powerless, there's nothing we can do, everything has been taken away from us. The mother, the great mother, has been taken away from us. And we've gone into the uncreation, which is where the morgue lives, but we'll get to that in a minute. So the kid, on his way to school, meets these bullies. There's 3 of them. You know, they look like bullies. They're a bit ugly, and they're fat, and they're not very bright. It's always the same, isn't it? But they represent an impetus that each and every soul traveler encounters. It's that push that we get in the form of, bullies, narcissists, the psychopaths, you know, all the minions of darkness in their many guises. And how, you see, the kid ends up in the bookstore because he's being bullied, and he runs down that alleyway and they do put him in that waste container, and he climbs out. And it's because he goes through all that torturous nastiness that he actually ends up in the bookstore in the first place, you see. I find, in my experience, yes, evil is exceedingly pernicious. We've been through hell, let's face it, guys. Can I kiss? You going? Well, go on. Alright then. Well, yes, show everyone your ass. Voila. Anyway. You know, it's given us a really, really hard time. It's really done a massive number on us. We all know that. We all know. Those of us who really go within, we are familiar with the hell contagion, the batshit crazy insanity, the trauma, the mind control, the gaslighting, you know, we're all. You know, and yet, everything that happens now is also a trigger for the healing and the awakening and the light reset, which is already happening because everything comes from within. And so these three fat, stupid bullies are the impetus, you know, for the boy finding the back entrance to the bookshop. Anyway, so he goes in, and there we have another archetype, another element, the man who's reading the book, who tells the boy, well, are you sure you really want to read this book? It's not really for you. You don't really want this book. No. You're better off reading something like, you know, Jules Verne. And that's interesting, actually, that he makes that, you know, that suggestion. Because, of course, if you read the books by Jules Verne, there's a lot of interesting things going on there. Like he predicted the answering machine, for starters. Very interesting, but that's another story. So, it's this sense of, are you sure this is what you want? I've encountered this many times in my life where it's almost been like that. Where it's almost been as if the Great Mother has asked me, are you sure you still want to continue? Are you sure you still want to do this? It's up to you. And I've always said, yes I do. Regardless of how difficult it has gotten, I still, here, now, would say yes to this quest. And that is what the bookshop owner does to the kid. He tempts him, he tests him. Are you sure you want to do this? Are you sure you want to do this? And then of course he puts the paper over the book. Mundane reality overlaying the magical reality of imagination, power, creation. And he wanders off. And the kid grabs the book and runs off, right? And of course he goes straight into the school building, another form of mundane reality. See? This is all very symbolic because we are in mundane reality. This experience, Groundhog Day, the Truman Show, call it whatever you like, it is mundane reality. It is an imposed reality of the uncreation, of the inversion, where we exist, you know, in a state of what we believe to be infinite limitation and trauma and, you know. And yet, even though we are right in it, we are awakening and we are finding ourselves. We are finding our magic, which is incredible, of course. So the kid, he's in the school and everybody's already in the classrooms. He's late, you know. So he's thinking, well, fuck it. I have this book. Yeah. I choose magic. I reject the mundane. Fuck it. And he finds the stairs and he goes up. He goes up. As indeed we all must. Higher gnosis. We travel up the stairs, the spiral staircase. We go down, but we go up at the same time. It's a paradox. As we go within, we also go up into higher gnosis, and he goes up the stairs into his higher gnosis, his imagination, his magic. And he starts to read the book. Now on top, on the book, there is a symbol of snakes intertwined, which really reminds me of many things, because the snake is not only a symbol for poison and deceit, deception, but it's also a symbol for healing. Now, the evil ones obviously have, to an extent, again hijacked it to that extent as well, but that's neither here nor there. They do not own the symbols at all. They are. See, when we exist within this trauma-based mundane reality concentration camp, and yet we awaken, are awakening, continue to awaken, continue to choose to keep walking this path, continue to choose to stay on the quest, to elevate ourselves higher gnosis, whilst going in to the heart of it all and heal. We encounter this archetype. We encounter the poison, the deceit, the gaslighting, the manipulation within ourselves. It's triggered by external events, NPCs, narcissists, all of it. All these events, just look at the world right now and what it's doing. It's a massive trigger, which brings up our hell contagion, our trauma. It is all revealed to us. If you do the work, it is truly all revealed to you. The state that you have existed in for ever so long. So the snake is very meaningful, and it's all about homotoxicology in a way, spiritual homotoxicology. And I've spoken about this many times. So, you know, the attic obviously that he enters is dark, it's dusty, it's dirty, it's messy, it's, you know, a bit like our consciousness. Because we go into the subconscious, the shadow self, in order to retrieve all parts of ourselves and bring them back into alignment, into union, you know. And the book is a gateway. It's, you know, imagination creating reality. It's interesting because, of course, you then go from the scene of the attic and the boy reading the book, being engrossed, having left behind mundane reality, whilst at the same time still being in it, still being in the trauma, still being lost, still believing that it's just a book, it isn't real, you know. But he's there. And then, next thing you know, you see a magical landscape. You see a giant snail, and you see a rock person, which is interesting because, of course, we have giant animals and giant people that were all turned to stone, and there is evidence of that all around us in this world. Giant trees that were turned to stone, again, evidence all around us, everywhere. Interesting. And the rock person, I've forgotten what his name is, but he's agitated. He says, Fantasia is disappearing, Fantasia is disappearing, the nothing is eating it away, the nothing is coming, and they're panicking and they're afraid. You know, and they say, we need to go to the Ivory Tower, we need to go and see the Empress, we need to find out what's going on and what to do. You know, so the one with, you know, the giant bat, you know, that he's with the giant bat, and off he goes to the Ivory Tower to see the Empress, and he gets there and he's looking through one of these beautiful little windows, very reminiscent of the cathedral windows that we have in this realm. The windows that are basically symbols for the ether, because all these cathedrals are resonators. They were power stations. That's what they were. Free energy, magic, power, freedom, true well-being, all of which was usurped by the evil ones, by the nothing. All of that is there in the Ivory Tower, all the symbols of the free energy, right? All there. And the people are gathered, and they're looking for a hero, they're looking for a warrior who will go on a quest to save Fantasia from the nothing. Now, at that point, you probably think, right, some really tall, big, burly geezer is going to step up to the podium with this gravelly voice and a jaw like an anvil, and he's going to say, right, I'll come here to sort this shit out. But instead, we get a child, a boy called Artreyu. And he's a boy, he's about 10 years old. He claims to be a warrior, but of course we're very mind controlled to believe that power is force making it happen. So we're there at this point and looking at Atreyu thinking, well, that's ridiculous, what's he gonna do, you know? But nobody in the Ivory Tower questions it. They're all bloody happy that Atreyu has arrived. And Atreyu gets on his horse, his white horse, symbolizing his purity, his childlike innocence, his purity, and his inherent magic and power, which lies within that innocence and that purity, you know. And he goes off. So, of course, the Ivory Tower is in and of itself an energy resonator. It's all to do with the ether, with free energy, with the Great Mother, the life force. The Empress, she hasn't even been on the scene. We haven't seen her yet at this point, but at the end, it's revealed that she's actually also a child. She's a very powerful being, but she has the shape, the form of a child. And this comes up a lot in the Never-Ending Story. You know, that true power is not big, it's not brutal, it's not patriarchal. It isn't about force. It's something else. It's innocence. It's purity. It's love. So the reason that Artreyu is male, I feel, is because ultimately only the masculine part, the masculine archetype, can go on this quest, because it is the feminine that has been bludgeoned into uncreating. You see, at the end of the Never-Ending Story, only one act is required to restore Fantasia, and it is directly related to the divine feminine, the Empress. You see, when the divine masculine archetype, in its many aspects and many fractured aspects, shadow, attacks the divine feminine archetype and bludgeons her and abuses her into uncreating, we witness the nothing, right? Death, disease, war, division, trauma, powerlessness, worthlessness, hate, self-hate. The division lies within us. So when we take this journey and we go within, it is the divine masculine principle that takes this journey. It seeks itself. It is guided by the feminine principle, by the Great Mother, because despite the terrible state that we are in, the true self remains whole, remains in its power, remains unaffected. And so, beyond the damaged part of the feminine which has gone into uncreation, there remains the sentinel, the all that is, the sea of infinite unconditional love. The masculine principle is listening and paying attention, that part of the masculine principle which is in awareness and wants to heal, that part of the masculine principle that goes on the quest for healing Atreyu on his white horse. And so he has to face many trials and many tribulations, and indeed he does. You know, he enters the swamp, and of course his horse Artax sinks and dies because the fear gets him, you see. And that is very much what happens here. That is what it's all about. Fear. Don't let the fear take hold, because you will drown in it. We've been drowning in fear. This is very much playing out. The fear seems to be the truth. We believe it. And so we exist in fear, and we experience fear, and we manifest fear in all aspects. That is what we're doing. That's why the trauma was done to us. You see, to imprison us in that sense. When Artax sinks into the mud and disappears, it's that moment where you think, it's all been for nothing. It's all been for nothing. I've wasted my time. It's all been a complete waste of time. I am powerless. I am worthless. Evil always wins. But you see, even in that moment, despite the terrible despair and the terrible grief that he feels, Atreyu, the hero of the quest, carries on. Because there is nowhere else to go. Fantasia is being consumed by the nothing. Artax has just died, and so all hope seems lost. What do, right? You keep going. It's interesting as well that Atreyu is told, when he sets off on his journey and he's still in the ivory tower, that he must leave all his weapons behind. This is interesting to me. You see, because when it comes to this journey that we are on, we have absolutely no manual. We have no map at all. Like, well, this is how it's going to look, and that is how it's going to feel, and this is what's going to happen, and it's going to go like that, and if you say that, and wear that, and eat this, and drink that, then it's all going to be a-okay, right? All the usual ways of doing things are no longer applicable. They no longer fucking work, as you will find out. Nothing on the external will give you an answer. Not really. If you really pay attention, you will begin to understand that all truth comes from within. Hence, Atreyu has to leave behind all his weapons. His usual way of doing things will not serve him anymore. So, Atreyu, well, obviously Artax is just sunk, and Atreyu is there covered in the black goo, which is interesting as well. The swamp is the black goo, which is the black hand, which is this dark, evil, withering power, the nothing, and how it totally grabs you by the neck and sucks out your life force, so that you literally get out of bed in the morning and you think, I just don't want to live anymore at all. In fact, I don't even want to exist. It gets to that point, it really, really does. And yet we keep going, for we can't go back. But at this point in the attic, the kid is beginning to realize that there is something fucking going on, and that mundane reality is actually not mundane at all, because the dreamer and the dream are becoming one. So Atreyu then, he goes on, somehow he manages to just carry on. He knows he can't go back, he can only go forward. He's lost his best friend, he's lost his innocence, he knows fear, he's lost his hope, but he keeps going. And the kid is becoming more and more and more drawn into the story, and he's beginning to realize that this is no ordinary book, you know. So Atreyu encounters the turtle, that massive giant turtle, and he's right on top of it. He's standing right on top of it, calling out its name, and you hear the groaning, and it emerges, and he's like, whoa! And of course, again, this is a reference to, well, at least on the external plane, it's a reference to the story, the narrative that our consciousness has created here, you know? The fact that the truth is beneath our feet. The truth is all around us. The rock people, the rock animals, everything was turned to stone. The giant trees, the massive cathedral, resonators, right? And the turtle is a reference to flat Earth, I believe, because if you remember, it was the turtle who carried the disc on its back with the water spilling over it. It's a giant turtle flying or floating in a sea of plasma or the ether with the disc of planet Earth on its back. So, you know, I could be wrong, but I feel that it's that way. And, you know, it's a kind of revelation that nothing is what we've been taught it is. So, basically, you know, he's talking to the turtle, you know, he's asking for help to combat the nothing. And the turtle is there groaning and thinking, oh, just go away, stop bothering me, I just want to go back to sleep, I want to go back to sleep, you know, don't look at any of it, go back to sleep, I don't care if the nothing eats me, I don't care, leave me alone. And this is kind of the mass consciousness which over and over and over again chooses mundane reality, and it's fear, it's apathy. Take it away, take it away. Just as long as we just do as we're told, everything will be okay, you know. And of course Atreyu is there thinking, wow. And I thought I was going to get some sucker here, but clearly that ain't gonna happen. So, thanks for nothing. I'll just have to carry on my own then. Same old, what's new? You know, and at this point, you know, it's like, well, we're finished, we're doomed. I thought I was going to get some insight, I thought I was going to get some, you know, some support, some insight, some, you know, whatever. Artax is dead, I've got no hope left, we're done here, we're finished. Evil seems to always win, and the nothing will get Fantasia, and all will be gone, and, you know, but no. You just have to carry on, we have to put one foot in front of the other. Despite all of that, wow. And you see him struggling through the darkness and through the mud, and oh, it's just absolute agony, right? And you see this creature, it looks a bit like a wolf, but it's a demonic type of being, black, fetid, running, glowy eyes, running, because it knows where he is and it wants to destroy him. It is evil's minion. It is the Black Hand. It is the servant of the nothing. But at the same time, you see this white being in the sky. And of course, that's Falkor, the dragon, the white dragon. Which is another archetype, I suppose. It's the Great Mother. It is when your need is greatest and you are all alone in the dark and you've given up, you've lost faith. Because the Black Hand is at you, every day, as indeed it has been, hasn't it? Telling you that, hey, look at you, look at the state you're in, look at the world, look what's happening. You don't honestly think that there is any light or any goodness. We've won, you know. You're finished here. And that's when something happens and the light comes. And it does this in different ways. Sometimes through synchronicity, or it can be in a dream or in a vision. I had an interesting dream last night. And it comes to you and it shows you that no, that is all a lie. It's a lie, it's gaslighting you. It is not true. And of course Falkor picks up Atreyu and carries him up into the sky and away from the morgue. And well, next thing you know, Atreyu wakes up and he's there. Whoa! Ah! And he's there because Falkor is snoring away, and you know, he lifts up his paw and he's like right up there, you know. And Falkor tells him, you need to find the Southern Oracle. You need to find the Southern Oracle. And Atreyu goes, oh, how do I go about that? So, you know, he's pointed in the right direction, and he's lost his talisman, the intertwining snakes. And he's worried and he's frightened and he thinks, are you going to eat me, Falkor? But of course Falkor is of the light and he's there to help, you know. So he comes across another symbol for the masculine and the feminine. There's these two little people, they live there on top of the mountain, and the little man is interested in science and all of that, and the little woman is interested in, you know, well, the mystical arts, healing potions and whatnot, and they're bickering with each other, but really they're quite good friends, and they love each other, and they're up there, and you know, that's what they do. And they have this lodestone resonator thing with all the crystals, and they show him in a direction and they say, you see that over there? And it's a gateway of two golden mystical beings, you know, part woman and part bird, with great big claws, great big wings outstretched, shining, eyes closed. And the little man, I don't remember what his name is, but he says to Atreyu, he says, you know, you have to go through that gate first. And if you are not pure of heart, and if you do not trust yourself, it will burn you to cinders with its eyes. And even as he's saying it, some great big burly hero in armor on a horse with a lance comes riding up, all like, yeah, you know, and all that, you know, seemingly very confident and very powerful, you know, but the eyes start opening and glowing and burns him to nothing, you know. And Atreyu is there thinking, oh my fucking god. And then he thinks, you know what, I know where I've been, I know everything that has happened, and if I don't do this, then nothing will win. There is nowhere else for me to go, so I will go, I will do it. And the little people are going, don't, it will burn you, it will burn you. You see the fear again, the fear, the doubt. But he goes, and he gets through it. Because on this path of ours, there are so many tests like that. And at this moment in time, something is burgeoning from within us, isn't it? Something is coming up. A confidence, something. I dare say we're still in the purging phases. There is still more hell contagion that needs to come up, that needs to be triggered and come up for transmutation and for alchemization, you know. But something is there, Because ultimately, for us to be restored to our magic, that shift within has to show us back to our supreme confidence, our purity, our knowing that everything the Black Hand tells us is a fucking lie, right? And that is that gateway. That is the gateway. I think some of us are there, trembling with fear, and yet at the same time also aware of this, yes. Because it's a feeling that like something within you is clicking back into place. The reunification, masculine, feminine, wholeness, confidence. Yeah, I don't believe you, Black Hand, you're full of shit, right? See what you're doing? No, I am powerful. I will be able to use my magic to manifest the light reset. I may not be quite there yet, but something is happening. I can feel it. Yes. You see, so it's about knowing your worth, knowing that you are a supreme creator being. The complete opposite of everything the Dark Hand has told you you are. You are the innocent child. You are not the great, big, anvil-jawed hero who forces things to happen and will sort this shit out. No, that's not how we manifest. That is not how we create at all. That's all about fear. That's all about a lack of confidence. That is all about unpower. And you get burned to a smithereen. And that is what will happen. Evil will be burned to a smithereen because it is not powerful. True humility, integrity, honesty, a willingness to love. You see, the sphinxes see into your heart. They are sphinx-like, these beings with their wings. They see right into the heart of everything, like Kali, and they burn that which is not of the light, which is pretending to be of the light. We've all been mind controlled to think we have to make it happen. It's not like that at all. I know it is surrender, sublime surrender, love. We are like these giant cathedrals that were power stations. They are resonators. They are part of the ether. We are the ether. The ether is us. We are all. We are one. Not one as in we're all hive. No, no. We are individual beings. But we are all part of this sea of consciousness. Infinite unconditional love. This, like the eye of the needle and passing through this, is what that moment is. It is the beginning. In the tarot card it would be the page. You see, the page of wands. The burgeoning of the confidence. The beginning of the reunion within. Ah, yeah, I'm beginning to get it. You know, coming out of the terrible fog that the gaslighting has induced in us. Right? He then, and this is interesting, he has to approach the mirror, doesn't he? And he is told that many... It is the mirror where you face your true self. He's told this. And he's told that many don't make it. Because many do not know how to face their true self. And when they are presented with an image of their true self, it destroys them. It's all about that shadow work that we still continue to have to do to face the darkest of the dark. The greatest darkness within us is the self-hate. the deepest, darkest, densest trauma. That mirror is a symbol for that. Facing that is pivotal. It is after that, after we have done that, after we have faced that, acknowledged that somehow there is a breakthrough, something happens. And this is not a moment of a couple of minutes. It can take weeks, it can take months, where you have to face it again and again and again. But it is inevitable, it must be so. The only way out is through. Mirrors are very symbolic for seeing yourself. And it's in understanding yourself and seeing yourself and understanding what has been done here and what that means and where is the inception point, how did it get to be this way, what is this place, who am I, what am I, what is reality, all of these questions. And every time you gain more gnosis, every time some of those questions are answered, giving rise to more questions inevitably, you enter through a mirror, because mirrors are gateways, you see. And every time you enter through a mirror, you inevitably also kind of rise. You know, your vibration goes up. Even though, inevitably, you must also then again leave that vibration to go to lower vibrations, to retrieve aspects of your soul, because the work continues. But you see, we're dealing at this moment with two worlds, because the boy in the attic reading the book is becoming more and more aware, you know, that this is a magical book. Atreyu sees him in the attic reading the book. He sees Atreyu looking at him, you see. So we also exist in two worlds. We exist already in the magical realm. It lies within us. We've never left it, you know. Our true self is there, always. Yet we also exist in the mundane realm, which is actually not mundane at all. And we're beginning to realize that, you see. So the Southern Oracle is approached. He approaches the Southern Oracle after he has gone through the mirror and has seen his true self languishing in mundane reality and trauma, the boy in the attic. And he has yet again made the choice to go through the mirror and carry on with his quest. And he finally comes face to face with the Southern Oracle. And she tells him, if you want to undo the nothing, you need to find the boy child. Find the boy child. He who will have to rename the Empress. He will have to give the Empress a new name. Find the boy child. He's the only one that can do this. Which is, to me, very symbolic. You see, the part of us that is so traumatized, the child languishing in the attic, the subconscious, it is there the magic has to happen, the healing has to happen, the creation has to happen, to create and heal the uncreation. So it is, in a way, the feminine languishing in darkness, believing herself to be powerless. Oh, just having the life force drain out of us every day. Depression, anxiety, insomnia, disease, misery, poverty, struggle, whatever, right? Seeing what's happening on the external plane. Just can't take anymore, can't take anymore. See, the stories tell us that sound creates. God said, let there be light, and there was light. Sound creates the music of the spheres. And I had a dream where I was walking along a beach, most beautiful beach I've ever seen, and the sound was incredible. It was just, there is no way to describe it. And it was the sound of creation. It was the most perfect, harmonious music, as opposed to in this realm, where the sounds, I call them the psychopathic frequency. They are abrasive and distortive and destructive. It's weaponry. Everything has been inverted, you see, by the morgue, by the nothing. Find the human child. You see, power to the one who dwells in the mundane illusion. There's a big storm starts up at this juncture. He's just spoken to the Southern Oracles, told him that he needs to find the boy child, because the Empress needs to be given a new name, and only the boy child can do it. It has to be free will. It has to be a choice. It has to be a choice to want to heal. I want to heal. I want to do the work. Yes, I will give the Empress a new name. I will embrace the divine feminine again. I will stop hating myself. I will stop bludgeoning myself. I will stop believing the black hands. Right? And have you not noticed how often enough when you are at that moment, that pivotal moment, and you'll be there time and time again, that is that feeling of all of a sudden the darkness gets louder. It knows you're on the threshold and it's not liking that, so it starts to fucking kick up a fuss, and it's the storm, the storm, the storm, and ooh, you see the Moog running again, you know, that black wolf-like creature. Not to do a disservice to wolves, I love wolves. You know, and Atreyu, he rushes up this great big deluge, and he rushes up on the shore, and he's looking for Falkor, and Falkor is looking for him, and they can't find each other, and it's like, here we are again, what the fuck? At this point, as indeed we are kind of there today, I feel as well, it's like, well, it's just not going to work out. I'm fed up, I'm fucking done with this shit, right? Where's my amulet? Where's Falkor? Where's the fucking boy? Right? It's like, man, oh man. It's apocalyptic. It's just pure, you know, it's like Fantasia. It's literally fucked. Fucked. He's struggling, and there's the rocks are everywhere, everything's falling apart, the trees are being ripped out of the soil, the Moog is there in his lair, you know, and he faces the morgue, he faces it, you know, and he's there, you know, in his lair, and he does what evil always does. He mocks Atreyu, he mocks him, you know. He says, if you're such a fucking warrior, and if you're such a fucking hero, why don't you stop the nothing? Atreyu goes, who are you? And this I find interesting. He says, I serve the power behind the nothing. It is never revealed to us in the film who that might be or what that might be. And I find that very interesting, because you see, most of us at some point or another believed the enemy to exist only on the external. And we've been given so many enemies. Oh, it's the Greys, or it's the Archons, and it's the Reptilians, or it's this and it's that, and it's ooh and it's R. And I really feel that it's very much part of the gaslighting operation that's going on. And I think none of it's actually real as such. You know already what I believe with regards to that, because of course the true enemy, the force behind the nothing, is in there. It's hiding in plain sight in our own consciousness, the parasite, you see. But anyway, the Moog is there and he's mocking Atreyu, as evil likes to do to us all, you know. Telling us how fucking powerless we are and how fucking worthless we are and how evil always fucking wins, you know. And hey, look around you. Fantasia's completely, nearly gone now and it's all fucked. So, what are you gonna do? You know, and I think Atreyu's having a major fucking crisis at this point because he's been through so fucking much and he's not given up. But at this point, it's like, well, Falcor's gone. I've lost my amulet and Fantasia's nearly fucking gone. And there's this evil fucking asshole in this fucking cave laughing at me. I can't take anymore. He's like, I can't fight the nothing. I can't do it because, you know, I just can't do it. I can't do it. Can't. And it's something to do with boundaries, with this feeling of limitation. There is nothing beyond Fantasia. I don't know how to say Fantasia. He's all confused. He's been gaslit as fuck, and he's all confused, you know. And the Moog is laughing at him, you know, because they love to relish that, you know, where soul travelers are just at the end of their tether, where it's like, right, well, that's it now. Can't take any more. One more drop, and that's it. I'm finished. You know? But you see, the Moog, and evil likes to do this as well. Evil does this. It does it despite itself. It can't help itself. You know, it always exposes itself, you know. He says to Atreyu, he says, don't you understand? Fantasia is a manifested world. It is created by the imagination and the dreams and the visions of humanity. See, Atreyu didn't know this. He didn't realise that. This world is exactly the same as Fantasia. It's created by consciousness. And our imagination creates it. And our imagination has been hijacked, hasn't it? Our creativity, our imagination has been hijacked by the black hand, by the nothing. Same. It's a manifested world. Limitless, infinite. Consciousness is failing. The Empress needs a new name. The Divine Feminine wants to be reunited with her beloved, the Divine Masculine. This is happening. The Empress's new name is being forged as I speak. Our imagination and our creativity will address the nothing. Oh yes, the light reset. So he talks about the Moog is sat there. And he's basically just exposing himself, saying, well, because the nothing is powerful and the nothing uses fear. It uses fear to control, you know, to kill that imagination, to kill that creativity. And isn't that exactly what it does, you know? You feel it, you know. It's like, don't you dare be optimistic. Don't you dare feel that confidence. Don't you dare say that you're smart. And that you're beautiful, and that you're precious. That's arrogant. How dare you get back down on your knees. Oh, goof. All motivation out the window, right? You couldn't even be creative if you tried. This is what happens, this is the nothing. You see, smartphones, education, toxic food, consumerism, division, trauma, suppression, uncreation, the nothing. Well, all shit hits the fan in a major way at this point, but at least Falcor comes back. He swoops back in, and he's back on Falcor's back. And something happens, which I can't remember, even though I watched the film yesterday. The boy realizes that he's connected to the book, the story, that it's his story in a way, and that Atreyu, when he's being told you need to seek the boy child, he needs to find him. It's me. I'm supposed to give the Empress a new name. Me? No, that can't be. That can't be. That's crazy. This is mundane reality. I'm worthless. I don't have a mother. Nobody wants me. I'm nothing. But it's real. I need to give the Empress a new name, you know. Falkor and, you know, Atreyu have decided to go and look for the Ivory Tower, because all that's left of Fantasia are just a few rocks now. And Falkor has found Atreyu's amulet, the snakes, which was in the river being purified, you see, intention, healing. So it's back there, and he speaks to the amulet, which is here by his hearts. Find the Empress, find the Ivory Tower. And whoosh, there it is, right there, shining, the resonator, the ether, the great mother, the divine feminine rising, surrounded by chaos, but something is happening here, because the divine masculine is really healing, is being restored to its former self. The two are about to become one, and the boy in the dusty attic realizes, this is what I have to do. Fuck it, I have nothing to lose. So he climbs up these crates and he opens the window and he screams out the name of his mother. He screams it out, and there's thunder and there's lightning and there's rain and it's dark and it's stormy. But he screams out the name of his mother. And Atreyu is face to face with the Empress. Yeah. Use the magic. Sound. Emotion. Heart. Reunification. When the two becomes one, you shall say to the mountain, move, and it will move. His mother's name, love. And the Empress says, what do you wish for? And he's reading this in a book. What do I want? What do I want? What do I wish for? And he starts to imagine, the boy in the attic starts to imagine. And slowly but surely Fantasia comes back, the light reset. You know, there's the giant snail. Oh yes. There's bats. There's the rock people are back. And it just blossoms, the golden world, bit by bit. Because he is now in his essence, you see. He is Atreyu. Atreyu is him. And the mundane reality is no longer a mundane reality. Because he wishes for Falkor to come. And Falkor comes. And they're flying through the streets of New York. And there's the three fat bullies running. And Falkor is going, woo, with the boy, you know. Because the magic is back. Because the traumatized, hate-filled, divine masculine principle has healed and has been restored to magic and the understanding that, I need the feminine. The feminine needs me, we need each other. Together we are one, the yin, the yang. We say to Fantasia, be, and it is, and it undoes the nothing. It is no more. You see, that's it. So that's my take on the never-ending story, and I dare say there's loads I've missed, because films like that are full of symbology, full of it, you know, full of meaningfulness and goodness and some darker type of stuff. It's always there, it's always a mix. But you know, I hope you all resonate with this, and yeah. All my love to all of you.